guys, this is Miss Leslie from the Paul Sawyer Public Library. Thanks so much for joining me today. And in today's PSPL Pantry Kids, we are going to make chocolate chunk blondies, one of my favorite sweet treats. Now, you're probably thinking, what is a blondie? Because most of us eat that rich, dark chocolate brownie. Well, a blondie is just a brownie minus all that rich chocolate batter. And a blondie has more vanilla extract in it, and it's more of a buttery type batter. So it's really more a vanilla batter than a dark chocolate batter. Now this one does have chocolate, but unlike all that dark chocolate running through it, it just has little pieces of chocolate chunk running through it. So that's the big difference between a blondie and a brownie. But a blondie is just as tasty as a brownie, and I do all different kinds of adaptations to my blondies. So, like I tell you guys, every time we meet, this recipe with all the ingredients and all the directions will be posted with the video on Facebook. So no worries as we're going through. And you know me, I always do a little prep work ahead of time. So I've gotten all my ingredients and I've already started on my batter. So in my lovely red bowl here, I have creamed my butter, my sugar, my eggs, and my vanilla. So in here, I have 2 sticks of softened butter, so I let it sit out for a while and get nice and soft. I have 2 room temperature eggs. I have a ½ a cup of granulated sugar and a cup of lightly packed brown sugar and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now, a lot of batters, like our regular brownie batter, call for a teaspoon of vanilla or a ½ a teaspoon of vanilla. This, because it's more of a vanilla-y type batter, if that's even a word, it has a little extra teaspoon of vanilla in it. So I've creamed all that in here and got it nice and ready to come together. So all that is in there. So that's my liquidy mixture. So in my bowl here, I have already sifted 2 cups of regular all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt. So all that is sifted and ready to go. And the main reason why I sifted it is because I want to make sure all that flour gets nice and incorporated and there's no little pockets or chunks of flour running through. And sifting it allows me to get all those chunks out of there. And then to the side, I've got my chocolate chunks. Now, obviously, if you don't have chocolate chunks, you can use chocolate chips. You can use butterscotch chips if you want to. You can really make this blondie any way you want. It doesn't have to have chocolate. If you have M&Ms, you can put M&Ms in it. I love a good M&M in a brownie. So no worries on that end if you don't have those specific things. So I've got my liquid stuff all creamed together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly add my flour mixture in there because I don't want to dump it in all at once because it'll kind of defeat my whole purpose of sifting everything. So I'm going to put a little bit at a time and stir it together because that way it'll make it easier to incorporate and you won't have all those chunks in there. And sometimes I like to get ahead of myself and then I end up finding all those chunks of flour in my batter. And I definitely do not want that after I've done all the hard work of creaming that stuff together and all the hard work of sifting it. Because sifting it is not one of my favorite things because I'm messy when I sift, so the flour usually goes everywhere. So after I've done all that hard work, I don't want to undo it. So now I've kind of gotten the sides of the bowl here. So I'm going to go in for a little more. And you just want to make sure you scrape the sides of the bowl so you can get all your flour and all your baking soda and salt in there. Now, blondies are one of my favorites because as a child, not so much now, but as a child, I was allergic to chocolate. So I couldn't have all those lovely chocolatey goodies like I like to have because chocolate was one of my favorites. So my mom would make blondies because she could add other things into it that weren't chocolate, and it wasn't a chocolate batter. So that became one of my favorites. But as you get older, you outgrow some of your allergies. So I can have chocolate now, but it's an option for those of us who are allergic to chocolate. And they're just as tasty. Because you can add a lot of different things. You can add butterscotch chips. If you're not allergic to peanut butter, you can do peanut butter chips. There's all kinds of different flavors of chips out there now. So you have lots of different options on hand. All right, so I've gotten that. Now, we've got one little bit of batter or one little bit of flour left. I think I can just pour in there and put the rest, put that cup in my And I'm going to wipe off my hand here real quick because I got a little bit of batter on it. Now, stir in that final bit of flour, and then I'll show you what it looks like once I've gotten all that flour incorporated in there. Because I want to make sure I scrape the sides too. And that's one of the things I like about this particular bowl, is it's really easy to scrape the sides down. And with this bowl, if it was something that I had to refrigerate, this one has a nice little lid that I can pop the lid on and pop it in the refrigerator. So that makes it nice and easy. Because I look for those shortcut tricks in my kitchen. Especially if I'm in a hurry. There's one little bit right there. And then I'll show it to you. All right, so now I've gotten everything incorporated in there, all my flour. There's one little spot that I see now that I'm holding it up to the camera. I'm going to grab that real quick. Now I've got that all incorporated in there, all my powdered sugar, not powdered sugar, but all my brown sugar. Sometimes brown sugar is a little clumpy, so I have to make sure I go in there and get all that out. Now I'm going to add my chocolate chunks, and I use one whole bag of chocolate chunks. But just remember, you can always use chocolate chips. If you don't want to use chocolate chips and you have M&Ms, you can use M&Ms. You could use toffee chips. You could use peanut butter chips. You could use any kind of chip you want if you don't want chocolate. That is completely up to you. That's the good thing about a Blondie. It's kind of a blank canvas, so you can add whatever you want. So I folded in my chocolate chunks, and that is my Blondie batter. So it's pretty simple. It's just 2 sticks of softened butter, a half cup of granulated sugar, a cup of brown sugar, 2 room temperature eggs, some vanilla, then 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking soda, and your chocolate chunks. And it's as simple as that. And then once you've got it all incorporated and ready to go, you will put it in an 8 by 12 by 2 greased and floured baking pan. Now with Blondies tend to over bake or bake really quickly. So it is something that you kind of have to stick to the time that I give you. So Blondies will take about 30 minutes in your oven on 350. And it's one thing you really have to watch at that 30 minutes because they can over bake really quickly. So once that 30 minutes is done, pull them out and just make sure you don't over bake them. So when you pull them out, you use a toothpick to test them, and the batter will still come out a tad bit wet. You don't want it completely wet, because if it's completely wet, you might need to keep it in there a little longer. And some ovens are different, and you know your oven best. But it will come out slightly wet on your toothpick, so no worries on that end. And then you let it cool in the pan for about 15 minutes, and you'll cut them up, and you'll have beautiful Blondie bars just like this. So, like I said, this can be a chocolate chunk brownie, it can be a peanut butter chunk brownie, whatever you want, or a Blondie, whatever you want it to be. Like I said, it's a blank canvas that you can make it however you like it. So I hope you guys enjoyed our PSPL Pantry Kids today. And as I always say, if you make these recipes, take some photographs and share it with us, because we love when you're creative, and especially creative in the kitchen. So thanks so much for joining me today, and you guys have a great week. Thanks so much.